it's Lee once again, and as you can see, Accutane is kind of kicking my ass right now. Can't really do much with my hair. It's been so dry and unhappy, and this recent flare-up is really kind of painful, and also my allergies are acting up as well, so it's just fun all around. So I apologize for my lack of looking professional, but yeah, my face is on fire, my eyes are on fire, everything's kind of going in the disaster route with my physical appearance. So getting off that, today we are starting my new bullet journal for midway through the year. This time we are continuing the aquatic theme with the next book in the Suzuki Ocean Life line. And this one has a beautiful gold embellished dolphin and velvety teal cover, kind of like the whale one in last year's first half of the year. I'll link the whole line in the description below if you're interested in all of them, but this is the last book in that line, and I love it so much. And it also has a little gold wave on it too. So without further ado, let's jump into it, because we're trying a lot of new things with this setup, and I hope it's helpful to anybody watching this that might be new to bullet journaling. All right, looking at this retrospectively, I probably should have did a nice aesthetically pleasing close-up of this new book, but obviously I didn't do that, so we're just gonna jump into my first step. So as per usual, I always put in my name at the beginning. This time I went hard with the sea theme, because I realized by looking at the setup from my last book earlier this year that I really should have did the sea theme, but like in the black and white, so it would go with the whole orca theme instead of just like going with the gold and black coloring. I still like how that looks, but that's why I decided to go full-on sea theme with this one, especially since this new Kaisercraft line that I've been dabbling with all this background drop and everything in the papers. The color of it went so well with the dolphin design of this book that I just thought it was going to be perfect. So instead of my typical layout of what the calendars will look like for the year that I've done in my past setups, I wanted to try kind of more of a title page, cover page feel. This second half of the year actually is starting in May for me this time. I was able to surprisingly squeeze in April into my last book, which from the past 2 years, I've always had at least March or April starting in the second half, so I was quite surprised by that. But at the same time, it's probably because I have more script writing in those previous books than this one, just because I had such a brain block from what happened in October, so it was mostly just going through the motions. I don't think it's going to be the same thing with this half of the book, so I think it's going to work out that I'm going to have less months in this book. But as you can see, I used mostly this old ocean-themed washi tape that I got from a scrapbook store almost like 5 years ago now. I'm getting to the end of that washi line, which is going to make me so sad when I'm done with it, but I basically only use that washi tape line throughout this entire setup. I'll try to link below maybe dupes that I can find, but the whales on that washi tape, it's just so pretty with the watercolory design. I just love watercolor so much. So if you're not really into painting and how time consuming it is, really invest in washi tape that can create that kind of a design. I was kind of too lazy to use my inks, so that's why I just use a little bit of my pen and moved on to my future log. So the future log, for any of you that are starting bullet journaling for the first time, this is the section where you really just give it open and airy so that, let's just say we're in May right now, right? And you have something about to be planned in June or July or even September, long time from now, you just make a little note in there, and then when that month comes around, you already have your stuff set out so you're not forgetting any dates. Lately, since I've been using Google Calendar on my phone, I haven't used the future log nearly as much, but I still think it's important for me to put it in regardless because Sorry, excuse me, I'm burping. I think it's important regardless because I'm trying to use my Google Calendar really only if I'm leaving the house and I know I need to look back at my calendar if friends or, I don't know, fellow creatives need to know what my schedule is, because since the event in October, I don't really feel comfortable having my bullet journal leave the house anymore, so having my Google Calendar be the same as my bullet journal without all the tasks and the planning and the brain dumping stuff, just purely like my schedule, has helped ease myself a lot, and plus it's a lot lighter. So I don't use my future log as nearly as much, but if you're first starting, I really think it's an important tool to practice with. I sketched out all of my calendar dates with pencil first. Make sure you do that as a new bullet journaler and really pay attention, because there has been so many years where I accidentally write the wrong dates, but then I do it in pen, and obviously that's hard to erase, and then you just feel really bad that you just started a new book and already messed up. So I really suggest sketching out all of your spreads just in case you're worried about making that kind of a mistake. This is a little bit something different that I'm trying. Instead of having a whole page dedicated to my growth tracker for Meraki Memories, I decided to put it at the bottom of the future log. I actually got this idea from Journal Away's setup video. I kept it a lot shorter since she has a lot more stuff to track with stats, but I still wanted to have that much extra space. So moving on to my index page. This I also got inspiration from Journal Away. She's really into painting, so I thought, you know what, let's give this whole painting thing another shot. I haven't done it in a while, and plus, with all the washi tape that I've been using for this setup, and it's all the watercoloring, I thought quick watercolor painting, totally gonna be easy. So I used a completely different washi tape than the ones that I wanted to stick to with this, and works surprisingly well if you want to have your lines really straight. And just did the corners kind of like a frame to make my index box, and just stuck with greens and blues to stick with the sea theme. I don't have that much green in my washi tapes, but seaweed's green, so I thought green and blue would look really nice. And I actually kind of have a flashback when I was putting these colors together of this one shirt that I had when I was in grade 6. Don't ask me why I remember that. I have no idea. But I remember it was my favorite shirt, and it was this blue and this exact green with a flower in the middle of it. It was a totally 70s pattern, so it's kind of funny that stuff is kind of coming back now. But I kind of wish I kept that shirt, but I have a picture of me in it from a school photo. Maybe that's why I remember it so vividly. I'm going on another tangent. Back to the setup. I just stuck with the same kind of layout that I've done with my other indexes, kept the page and the description. I really don't need 2 pages for my index. By the time I'm done a book, I really only need 1 page. But if you're starting, I suggest having 2 pages if you think you're really going to use an index. It's always better to have more room than 2 less. That doesn't make sense. It's always, in my opinion, it's better to have more room and then not use it than have too little room and then be feeling like you're stuck. I ended up screwing up writing the page and description, so I had to spread out my watercolor paint a little bit more, but I still don't think it looks too bad. Not incredibly noticeable if you just looked at it finished. So the next side, I decided to throw in my media checklist page again. I didn't use it too much from my last half of the year, but I've been trying to give myself a little bit more downtime to prevent burnout because, oh man, guys, I've been feeling it. And when I'm that burned out, I'm struggling to find things to watch. So I thought, you know what, let's write out a whole checklist, a proper one, not just for my books, because looking back on the previous book, I did not do much reading, but I wanna get into a little bit more shows, so throwing it in again. You might not use it, but it's always good to have that little piece there. When I was designing the top of this, though, I ended up not liking how the paper looks, so that's why I replaced it with the washi tape. Try to not glue it down if you feel like you might change your mind, because the glue that I used Ended up making a little bit of a residue, and I had to let it dry, and then trying to paint over it made like a little weird design. But at the same time, I was like, you know what? At least it looks kind of artsy this way instead of crappy. So to stick with the green and blueness of it, since I have no green washi tape that's going to go with this theme, I just used more of the green Tombos and kept the same font that I used in the last book for the sidebars. And again, for you newbie bullet journalers, if you are decent at drawing and want to try different fonts instead of your own writing, all the fonts that I used are linked in the description. Okay, moving on to our next spread. It's my goals page. So this one is definitely new territory, and I was super nervous to try it. I got the inspiration from Journal Away again. I love her spreads, guys. They're just so freaking pretty, but some of them are a little bit too complicated for me, so I really pick and choose which ones that I grab from her. But I decided, instead of doing like full page multiple layouts for my goals, that I would try the Dutch door thing. And let me tell you, when I was first cutting this, I was like stress sweating so much. I really sketched out all the pages and like took my time cutting this. I know on this recording it looks like I was going incredibly fast, but I assure you that's just the speed up clips and me being strategic with the recording. But I was really putting it off because I was super scared to cut into my book. So I'm like, it's a brand new book. If I somehow mess up the cutting or accidentally cut like the ribbon that's holding the pages together, things are gonna fall apart, and then my new book is ruined. And I didn't have enough time to order in a new book that would match this theme, right? So I'm like, really super nervous. But it ended up working out. I think mostly because I had this little that knife that I was using. Thank God I got that as a present like 8 years ago. So I rarely use it, but it came in quite handy when I need to do this. So if you want to try the Dutch door thing, I really suggest having a little knife like that. Even if it's just like, I don't know, like a kitchen knife, but not like giant, that could work, because it's going to be really hard to use just scissors that close to the ribbon. So just be aware of that. For the upper border, I used the whale washi tape, but in its like full succession, so I didn't just like rip off the only bit of whales. And I tried to do a little picture here. My original thought was to put the old painting that I did in August 2 years ago of dolphins, but when I printed it all on my printer, it looked terrible. So I completely ditched that idea and just continued on to like the reflections board. I decided to try curving the edges of my Dutch door pages, but I felt like the cuts were still not like super straight, since I didn't use like a specific straight cutter. So that's why I used some more washi tape as like border edges, because then it really softens it up and I don't know, just adds an extra touch, and it just looks really pretty to me. And you might not even need this many pages for your first time doing a Dutch door, but for me I had to add at least the extra studies page since I'm anticipating going to Japan. Right now it seems to maybe not be happening because they're not responding to me yet about all of my extra questions about tuition and accommodation and whatnot, so I'm a little nervous that it might not happen because it's been 3 years, but you know, we're still hoping. And for the reflection questions, to get off that Japan topic, I actually just watched a couple of my favorite self-improvement channels and looked for journal prompts that they suggested and just picked my favorite ones. because I decided not to have like a whole page dedicated to it. I wanted to keep it like really short and sweet. And filled in that top gap with another Casey Neistat quote. Surprise, surprise. And tried to do a lot of like little bubbles around it too for like doodles. And I didn't film it, but after I was done, I realized that they looked a little bit too plain. So I ended up using this exact black pen to make an outline around those blue and green bubbles to make them actually look more like bubbles instead of just dots. And I felt it looked still a little bit plain, so that's why I added the same blue that I was using for the borders to be around the book, but obviously I was very sloppy. I could have done a much better job with that, so if you want a straighter line, I really suggest using a ruler, and don't be lazy like I did. I mean, even like doing the edges. Normally I'm a lot better at doing edges, but damn, those are sloppy. Alright, so that's it for my goals page. Other than the sloppy edges of the blue, I think it looks really, really cool, and I'm definitely gonna do more of this Dutch store stuff. And because I was loving the Dutch store so much, for my next spread, I decided to do it again. Another spread inspo from Journal Away. So I just split it up into the last remaining months and did the same thing I did with the goals pages and had the washi tape as edges to soften it up a little bit. But overall kept the layout incredibly simple. And to fill out just a little bit of extra decoration, I grabbed one of the papers from this Kaisercraft line and did it on both edges. And I made sure I cut it in a way so that it looked like the page was like continuing. I basically just like cut the design in half and just had it on each side as the full paper was. And even though they're not like super close together, I think you can still, like an average human, if they looked at it and didn't know that I did that, they could tell that it's just from like one big painting or picture, I guess. These pages from Kaisercraft are clearly not paintings. They're just, I don't know, printed, developed pictures. And of course used the blues and this orangey type of thing. It was the closest color of Tombow that I had to match with the seashells and starfish. So that's another tip for new bullet journalers that want to keep their pages very aesthetic. Pull colors from whatever thing you're using to make it look cohesive, or if you're not pulling from like previous artwork like I am here, pick like 2 to 3 colors to stick with throughout the entire spread or setup. And stick with the same font throughout the whole setup too, or have two different fonts, but make sure you don't like change them up too much, otherwise that can be something that makes it look more messy. Alright, so moving on. This is one really specifically for me. You probably won't need to do this if you're brand new and just like, I don't know, an average 9 to 5 person. But you could still use just a regular checklist for, I don't know, your master to-do list instead of having like a short version that I did earlier in my goals list. That one's so short this time because I have actually surprisingly banged through the majority of my master to-do list, so it's really just like little itty-bitty stuff left to do before the move, and I didn't need a full page anymore. But if you're a person that feels really behind on a lot of tasks like I was at the beginning of this year, then a bigger list like this will be way more helpful. And instead of just having like full page of just brain dumping, after you're done having a brain dump list, which I do suggest because sometimes you think of random stuff and it's just easier to brain dump it all out and just like word vomit all over your page, but then sort it into categories. So that is why I did that with all of my Leaf Factor videos, because as old viewers will know, I have way too many videos filmed for that channel that haven't been edited. I'm talking like 2 years worth of content, so there's so much that I really had to do the dividing up thing. And even more still, ones that I have just ideas for, and that is what the next spread is all about. Literally the exact same thing, but just ideas. But we are not done yet because I forgot the very last spread to film, so whoops. It's my memories page. Now, this one is not a super necessary one if you're starting, but in my opinion, it should be, because if you're anything like me, your days start to mold together and just become this one big blur in your average daily life. And I first started making this page because I felt like, oh my god, time is passing by so quickly, where is my youth gone? Oh my god, mini existential crisis. So one way to help combat this was to have a mini memories page. So instead of dedicating full time to writing diary entries to try to remember my days, this is like an area for little snippets just to remind myself of little happy things that happen throughout the year, right? So a little entry I've written in this space is literally like, the girl accidentally messed up my coffee order, but then ended up giving me 2 coffees instead. Lucky me, more caffeine for moi. You know, like little stuff like that you typically wouldn't just dedicate a whole diary entry if you're like frustrated or super happy about something. But at the end of the year, it's really nice to just look back at those little things and think, you know what? Life isn't so tough right now. I had all this nice stuff happen to me. And it helps kind of put things into perspective. Alright, another bullet journal setup ready and complete. Probably my favorite one, guys. I'm glad that I tried going like full theme instead of just like kind of coloring theme. Matching the theme of like the front of the book, I just enjoyed doing way more, and I'm really happy with trying the new Dutch door thing. I know it's not really new in the bullet journaling community, but I was thinking about doing it for such a long time, and I'm glad that I finally gave it a go. Still not happy with how messy I made those corners, but you know what? Like, I loved the Dutch door thing. I'm definitely going to incorporate it into more setups in the future and try to get more creative with my setups. I feel like I have a bit more bravery with that now. And like I said, if you don't like this one as much, definitely check out my other ones. I love ocean theme, so I'm incredibly happy with this whole design. Alright, I hope you guys enjoyed yet another bullet journal setup video. I hope you can't hear the garage door going. Okay, try that again. I hope you guys enjoyed another bullet journal setup video for me. I am doing my best to try to bring in new types of spreads into these ones, since they surprisingly seem to be the more popular videos on my channel. So I like to try something else new just in case when you guys watch it, you are starting new books, or if you've been doing this as long as me, you can try something new along with me. So yeah, I'll leave it at that. Also, actually, check out my Instagram, Rocky_memories, if you'd like to see more bullet journaling inspo and weekly spreads. I post to there at least once a week and try to keep you guys updated if something's going wrong with like uploading to YouTube for whatever month we're on. So we got 2 more setups coming in the next 2 weeks, so subscribe if you're liking what you've been seeing. So yeah, okay, I think that's enough self plugs for today, so I will leave it at that. Bye guys.